if we can make this thing work. Good morning. So welcome you back. Welcome to the city of pearls. Welcome to the land of biryani. Welcome to Telangana. I hope you're having a great stay. We've had a great inaugural yesterday. Ms. Ivanka Trump, Sherry Blair, Karen Quintos, Chanda Kochhar. I don't think there could be a more cracker of a panel to begin a day with. So I am looking forward to this as much as you all are. But before we get there, let me just quickly talk about the state I represent. I come from Telangana. My name is Ktr Rao. I am the Minister for Industries, Commerce, Information Technology, Urban Development. I've had the privilege of serving as a minister for the last 3.5 years for the youngest state in India, that is Telangana, with Hyderabad as the capital. Now, in the last 3.5 years, we've tried to do some things which are truly unique, which are truly path-breaking when it comes to innovation, workforce, skilling, etc., which is the theme that we're going to talk about today. On the innovation front, as it was mentioned by Ms. Trump yesterday, today we have India's largest technology incubator in Hyderabad called the T-Hub, which has been doing exceedingly well. And come this time next year, by this time next year, we will be having the world's largest technology incubator / startup engine in our own city of Hyderabad right here. In fact, innovation has been a huge driver in the growth story of Telangana in the last 3.5 years. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, for the first time in Indian history, for the first time in the history of this country, talks about Startup India. He realizes the importance of innovation. He realizes the importance of skills. He talks about Startup India. He talks about Skill India. And he also talks about how to ensure that this large demographic dividend, which is up for the grabs for India, because more than 50% of our population is less than the age of 27. More than 2/3 of India today is less than the age of 35. So that goes to tell you, India has the largest think force. I don't like to call it workforce. India today has the largest think force on the planet for any country in the history of the planet. As the world is aging, India is getting younger. As the world today, the average age goes high and high, India is getting younger and younger. But that throws up a very interesting challenge. All the way from Hyderabad and Telangana government and right up to the United States and Trump administration. The one big challenge every government faces today is employment, is creation of jobs. Now that throws up an interesting question. How do we ensure that this so-called demographic dividend is completely harnessed, is completely leveraged by the governments? The human capital, how do we harness it? How do we ensure that this innovation and knowledge economy, how do we keep going? And how do we make sure, most importantly, women, for whom another added dimension, another compounded problem is the gender discrimination that is rampant across the first world, second world, or third world, irrespective of which country you come from. So we want to talk about all these innovation, skills. How do we ensure we create jobs? How do we also ensure at the same time we create both job creators, a platform for job creators like T-Hub, and how do we also ensure that for those people who are seeking employment, how do we make sure that they're adequately skilled? How do we also ensure that they keep refreshing their skills every so often? So like I said, I have cracker of a panel, and let me start by introducing the 4 powerful men. I have 4 powerful women. I've never done this in my life, moderation. So I'm a little nervous as well, so you have to bear with me for the next 1 hour. Let me start with Chanda Kochhar, the MD and CEO of India's largest private sector bank, a woman who's won multiple awards. I can go on and on, but she's been consistently ranked among the top 100 most powerful women by Forbes and Fortune, and the winner of Woodrow Wilson Award for corporate citizenship. Chanda, thank you. I think you're here. Chanda Kochhar, ladies and gentlemen, a warm round of applause, please. Next, I'd like to introduce Karen Quintos, the Chief Customer Officer of Dell, the highest ranked, most senior position held by a woman in Dell is currently held by Karen Quintos. Karen works very closely on the board of Dell, the highest and the most senior most position, the executive position with Michael Dell and the entire team. So welcome, Karen. Next, we have a woman who's extremely popular, who's done significant work, who's been a tremendous pillar of support to a former UK Prime Minister, Prime Minister Blair, Sherry Blair of the Sherry Blair Foundation for Women. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her with a warm round of applause. As I've mentioned, I'm the Minister for IT, Government of Telangana. IT normally stands for Information Technology. But for the last 1 month and more so in the last 1 week, IT also in Hyderabad means Ivanka Trump. The lady herself is here, arguably the most powerful woman in the world. Warm welcome to Miss Ivanka Trump. With a warm round of applause, please. I didn't know what to call her because she dons multiple responsibilities, multiple roles, so I wanted to make sure we capture this moment. We have a banker, we have an advisor to POTUS, and many, many other things also. We have a lawyer, and then we have a chief marketing and chief customer officer. So welcome, ladies, and then we can get started. Thank you very much.
What a group. Good morning.
It is a bunch of really, really energetic people at 9 a.m. in the morning. Do you guys need more coffee? Well, this is a great panel. Thank you, ladies, for joining me. Let me start off by posing one question, and let me start off with Chanda. Chanda, you've donned multiple roles. You've been rated as one of the most powerful women in business by Forbes, by Fortune. You lead India's largest private sector bank. You're among the top 10 most influential businesswomen in the world. Let me ask you, what does it take really to ensure that you break through the glass ceiling, you work through whatever it is that is required to make it right to the top in the corporate world?
Well, I think it's a combination of many things. It's what you yourself as a woman desire and want to achieve. It's what, the encouragement and support that you get from your family. And it's the entire ecosystem in the organization where you build your career. So let me start with the ecosystem first, because I think, I was very fortunate to be part of an organization that has always been a merit-oriented organization. And that gave all of us the comfort and confidence to say that if, even as women, we put in hard work, we'll be recognized for the work that we put in. We'll be given the next promotion or the next responsibility based on your capability and will not be discriminated against just because you were a woman. Well, beyond that, I think, it's about the woman himself or herself in that sense. Because, I have seen that women are actually sometimes even more capable and more intelligent than the boys that we recruit.
I agree. I completely agree.
But at the same time, we tend to give up when it's the most difficult time in our life stage, which is when we are starting our families. And I think that is the time when women need to decide not to give up. Because if you do not give up at that time, then you are able to continue for long. And I can later talk about what ICICI as an organization has done about really making life comfortable for women at that life stage. But I think that is very important. And I feel that at that time, it was I who believed that I want to do this because it's my desire. I'm not doing it because someone is forcing me to do it. And I think that conviction takes you through the period. But beyond that, I must say that, your family, your larger family, has to be a part of your growth and progress. And it's not, as mundane as saying that they're supportive of what you're doing. I think that's actually putting their contribution in a very mundane manner. I think what gives the woman the inspiration is the joy and pride that your family feels in your every step. And that is the biggest driver and motivation for women.
Fantastic, fantastic. Let me go to Karen quickly. Karen, Chanda represents the Indian corporate sector. She's an Indian woman who's made it right to the top and she's worked her way through. How different is it in the United States? You've worked prior to Dell at multiple organizations and you've been with Dell for the last 17 years. As I've mentioned, you're the topmost ranked woman in Dell right now. How difficult or how easy is it in the United States or the first world for a woman to reach right up to the top and to do what you've been doing?
Well, first of all, I agree with everything that she said in terms of what it takes to be successful. The confidence that you have to have in you and your capabilities and what you can do and what you can enable, I think, has a huge impact. And I couldn't agree more on when you reach those difficult times and you feel like giving up is when you actually have to stay the course, because as a mother of three, two of which are daughters, it's unbelievable how much of a role model you can be as a successful woman in helping them and their friends and the larger kind of community and being successful. You know, candidly, I'm actually quite optimistic about what is happening now in this area. I think we all agree the numbers are not moving as fast as they need to be moving, but the amount of support that we are seeing in companies, CEOs, the White House, various other public and organizations in the support around getting more women into leadership roles and enabling that, I think today is remarkable. So it's still tough. I mean, it's still a environment out there that is really conducive to men, candidly, and I think through policy change, through culture change, through having great leaders step up and really want to change the game when it comes to this, I'm actually optimistic that over the next couple of years we're going to continue to see some real momentum.
Great. Let me go to Sherry. Sherry, for those of you who are unaware, mine is the famous surname. She was a lawyer back in 1976. She started her own law firm, and for the first time in the history of Britain, she was the first wife of a prime minister who had her own career. I think that was the first time that has ever happened in British history. So Sherry, how difficult was it to be in the limelight and also to have your own career? And I'm sure there must have been a fallout, there must have been a few issues that emanate from it. So let's talk about it, and how difficult is it, again, to be in the spotlight again and to fight it out through your own career?
Well, I think that, first of all, one of the reasons I was the first spouse of a prime minister to actually have gone to university, and that includes Dennis Thatcher, who didn't go to university, by the way, is just a generational thing. My predecessors, if you like, were of a different generation where girls didn't get educated. In fact, Dorothy Macmillan, the wife of Macmillan, the Prime Minister, actually told her daughter that she shouldn't go to university and stopped her going to university because she said all she needed to do was to know how to run a household. So there's a generational thing and a change in what we expect from women. What was it like holding down a full-time job as well as being married to the Prime Minister? Well, I didn't think after 20 to 25 years in my own career, where I'd worked when I had 3 children under 5, when I was essentially supporting my husband as he went on his political career, why would I change my job just because he had changed his? Now, this did cause...
Absolutely.
This did cause some consternation in Downing Street, because they basically expected me to be there to be the hostess and the support and to be wheeled out on the occasions when it was required. And I did all that, by the way. But one of the things that enabled me to carry on with my career actually was IT. Because by the time I got to Downing Street, I was able to conduct my business from Downing Street. So I might be dealing with my legal papers, I might be answering clients' queries from my desk. My client would not know where I was, nor would they know that possibly half an hour before that I'd been down greeting the First Lady of Tanzania to have tea with her. Now, I couldn't do that without IT, and that made a huge difference to me, and it's why when I left Downing Street and I was thinking, if IT makes such a difference to a fortunate woman like me, surely there must be opportunities for using IT to bring advantages to women entrepreneurs across the world, and that's one of the missions of my foundation, which is to help women with what we see as the 3 C's that they need for growing their own business. And the 3 are, we've mentioned one already, confidence. Because too many women are told what they can't do, not what they can do. The second C is capability, capacity, it's training, it's women, again, don't get the same access to education across the world as men do. Business is partly instinctive, but partly it's about knowing how to run things right, how to read a spreadsheet, how to build a business plan, how to make the right sort of pitch to get the sort of money that Chandra will then loan you, the whatever capital that you need. And the third one is access to capital. And capital is a big issue for women entrepreneurs, and I know there must be many of them in this room that know only too well that when it comes to getting the money to grow and expand your businesses, it's very hard to move the needle, to get beyond the skeptical, often male officers in the banks who don't actually really believe that a woman can succeed in business. And so we work with our women to build those things, and we do that by using technology. And finally, I'd say this, you know, if we're going to do anything in this world, we've got to do something about men.
All right.
Yeah, that includes you. Men need to men need to understand that women are their equals. Men need to understand that women do face obstacles that they don't understand, and men need to understand that they need to do their share as well. I was recently at the American Embassy in Delhi, where we've done a program with the American Embassy called We Can, and I know 2 of our women entrepreneurs who won that competition are in the room here. But we had a group of 25 Indian women entrepreneurs who came to present their business ideas. At the same time, the American Embassy had invited along some IT entrepreneurs that they had been working with, mainly men. And the women were talking about their obstacles, and yet one of the young men stood up in the audience and says, I don't understand what this woman is talking about. He says, sometimes when I go to an interview or to seek a business, people ask me about whether I'm married, and you know, I don't find that offensive, so why are these women complaining that they can't get any help and assistance, because when they come there, all everyone is asking them about is whether they're married. And that just showed, the women were very firm with him about there is a difference, because for a man here, if you say you're married, people will think, oh, responsible, not likely, you know, got responsibilities, likely to be a good bet. For a woman here who's looking for capital and comes and they say, are you married? And she says, yes, I am. They think, oh, difficult, going to get pregnant, you know, got other responsibilities. So it's a completely different mindset. And unless young men, like the young men in those rooms, understand that, understand the difficulties that their wives and their sisters, and yes, their mothers are experiencing, then we're never going to change this dynamic.
Thank you, Sherry. In fact, you talked about... Sherry talked about 3 C's, capacity, confidence, capital. I think the 4th C today, Sherry Blair. Ivanka, you are advising the leader of the free world. You have a unique opportunity to bring about a huge, drastic transformation across the world, especially from the women's perspective that Sherry so eloquently spoke about. In India, in Telangana, we do a bunch of things with the private sector as well. We work with Cisco in a program called Women